Hi, everybody. My name is David Rothstein. I have a music company here in Chicago, David Rothstein Music. And today I'm thrilled to be able to speak with one of the top wedding planners in Chicago. And she is a very enthusiastic, very stylish person that really cares about people, which is exactly what our music company is about. We love working with planners that have that same kind of mindset. So I'd like to welcome all of you to give a round of applause to Brianne Garitano. And she has a wonderful company here in Chicago called Marquette Avenue Events. And we're thrilled to have you here today.
Hello, David. It's such a pleasure to be here with you.
And we're going to talk a little bit about her company, some different things about wedding planning, what's involved with it, some different misconceptions people may have of wedding planning, and maybe share some stories about how she's helped clients with a variety of situations. And, you know, we both realize, since we've both been doing this for many, many years, is that brides and grooms really, for the most part, have not booked any wedding services before. So this is a very unique situation where you're buying a lot of very expensive things that you've never bought before. So that's why it's always best to invest in the best vendors and guides to help you navigate this, so that you're getting things that are really going to help you figure this out and how to get the best results that are right for you. So Brianne, why don't you tell me a little bit what inspired you to start Marquette Avenue Events?
So I got my start back in 2004 in events. I started working for the Mayor's Office of Special Events in Chicago, and I was doing logistics and planning for Taste of Chicago, Blues Fest, Jazz Fest, Viva Latin Music Fest, Gospel Music Fest. And that's how I kicked off my career, doing major event logistics for those Chicago festivals.
And how did
So
you get into doing weddings from doing those huge events, which is obviously a different type of planning process?
exactly. So I got lots of experience working for others first. So at the Mayor's Office of Special Events, I was, under the reins of professionals learning how to manage large scale event logistics. And I was with them for a few years, learning and growing. It's funny, I received a call about a month ago from a bride who said, Brianne, I was referred to you by a wonderful woman who I used to work for at the Mayor's Office of Special Events. And so it's funny how a referral can come from 16 years ago when I got my start. So while I was at the Mayor's Office of Special Events, learning the ins and the outs of very complex logistics for events, I decided to, because I went from a large scale operation, that I wanted to do something more niche. And from there, I started doing gala planning and conference planning. And then I started working for a wonderful man, a philanthropist in Chicago, who had a private family office, who still does. And he would be throwing fashion shows and more galas and private experiences for his loved ones and those who would make donations to charity. During that time, he fell in love and got married. And I helped with his beautiful dream wedding. And it was quite the grand affair. It was just a dream setting, a dream wedding. And I was part of the planning process for that. And it turned out so lovely. There was over 1,000 people who joined to celebrate. Many Chicago who's who, and it was just such a wonderful experience. And so that's when I fell in love with wedding planning. So that was many years ago, and after that experience, I had several years of planning in various capacities under my belt, and that is when I decided to start Marquette Avenue Events. Marquette Avenue is the street I grew up on in Chicago,
Okay.
in the city. And so growing up on Marquette Avenue, I was surrounded by many different cultures, people speaking different languages. I would, move into the weekend as a young child, and my one of my best friends, Linda Padilla, she would pray the rosary with her family, and I would join her, and we would pray the rosary in Spanish. The next day, another friend who was down the street, a Croatian family, would have um, a lamb roast. And so it was this mecca and blending of cultures that I was always surrounded with, that I was so thankful for. Um, and it really got me interested in culture and rituals and details, cuisine, and different styles of music. I could go on. And that's how I really fell in love with doing and celebrate. It was really more, that's when I fell in love with celebrating cultures of all different backgrounds. And so when I look at the scope of my career, getting all that experience, planning a variety of different events of all scale, large to small, when I created Marquette, I knew, I wanted to celebrate couples of all cultures when I embarked on my wedding and event planning business.
And I think that's a really important thing, that people want to be able to express who they are, both culturally, their personalities, different songs they want, flowers they want, and the feel that works best for them. So you had worked with somebody who had a blowout 1,000-person wedding with all the who's who of
Soiree.
Chicago, and you put as much care into that as you would for somebody doing a 100-person wedding, here at a venue in Chicago. And I think that's what makes you really remarkable, is that you do have a sincere care for people, and you really want to dig a little deeper, instead of just, what time hors d'oeuvres are being served, but spending more time to know what these people are about, what's important to them. And I think in this world of username and passwords, that type of individual passion for people is something that everybody wants. And I think that's one of the best things that I think, you really bring to the table.
Thank you. Thank you, David. And something else that I want to tap into that's involved in that process is, yes, that wonderful philanthropist who decided to get married,
Mhm.
you know, his budget was large. However, at the end of the day, we would vet vendors and professionals for his wedding just as conscientiously as we would for anyone. And it's
Exactly.
always going to be about making sure that there's a value laden experience no matter what your budget is.
And I think that that's super important, because people don't want to feel that, oh, I'm not this big celebrity or anything like that. But for that day, everybody to me is as much as a celebrity of anybody on television. So they should be treated that way.
1000%.
Yeah, and I think
I
that's super important, and I think that's one of the things that really makes you stand out versus a lot of average planners that are out there. And I think people may have a little bit of a confusing idea of what a wedding planner actually does. People, they see movies and they just think it's all just flipping through magazines and drinking Starbucks and laughing and stuff. But, there's so much work that goes into it. Maybe you could talk about, what are some of the things that are included when someone hires a wedding planner?
thank you. And I love that you mentioned there is this kind of stigma, oh, wedding planning, you're doing these glamorous things, you're shopping for your wedding gown, which of course is always a wonderful experience that we love when we're able to embark on that process with our full planning clients who come to us and say, we want you to be a part of the full process. And so consider your wedding planner, if you're new to this, as your general contractor, your GC, the GC who is guiding you through every single decision, because there's a good likelihood that this industry is not your forte. Maybe you're a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, you're maybe in advertising. Those are all very different industries. And you want to make sure that your wedding planner, aka the GC of the jack of all trades,
Mhm.
is able to dive in, get to know you and your spouse, who so if I could just backtrack right there, the first process in wedding planning is truly getting to know your planner, and your planning getting to know you and your fiance. That has to happen first.
Mhm.
And when you're out there looking for a planner, you really want to make sure it's the right fit, because wedding planners are all very different. And it boils down to experience, personality, and the time that they're going to share with you in order to get all of the planning done. And that's how you're able to make a decision. Um, that's really what's going to set the process apart from, there's a lot of planners out there. There's a lot of options on the table. And you want to make sure that first and foremost, do you have a great dialogue with this planner? Do you feel comfortable with them? Do you trust them? Because this wonderful GC, this planner who is handling all of your special details, will be with you if you choose to plan full planning, partial planning, even down to month of day of. They will be with you for several hours. And on a given wedding day, you're with your clients for 10 to 12 hours on average. That's in addition to all the planning hours that go into full planning, partial planning, etc. So
Mhm.
it really boils down to getting to know each other and deciding if it's a right fit.
Yeah, it's perfectly okay if it's not the right fit too. That's perfectly fine too. But I think
Yes,
one of the biggest things that we do, we're kind of like, as you mentioned, that people come from different backgrounds, with all kinds of different jobs. And what we are, we're kind of a translator in the sense that they have a vision and we're the people that can kind of, here are the steps to be able to make that happen, to make those things, to be able to execute those things. And this is how you hire a band. And these are the things you should be looking for. And
exactly.
it's not like next time, like you're buying your car, like, oh, okay, well, there's something resale value and insurance and gas mileage, as opposed to, wow, it's such a cool red color. Well, ideally with weddings, you don't get a chance to do it over. Well, next time, the next car I buy is going to have, so it's important to have somebody who's got a lot of experience that has done a variety of different types of weddings. And also, I think the ability to listen on a deeper level too, rather than like kind of get a general idea and then try to box them into the wedding that, the planner thinks is best for them, as opposed to
Exactly.
listening to, even if it's something kind of quirky and unusual, I mean, it's important to be like, okay, can we do to make this happen? And Brianne's your enthusiasm and your ability to be open-minded, I think, is what attracts so many clients to you, is that they love the fact that you're just as excited about their wedding and their ideas, as opposed to something that you saw in some magazine or on some website.
Exactly. And so those initial conversations, David, are so important. And the conversations that happen, consequently throughout the planning process, you what's critical to ask when you are booking a wedding planner, who will I be speaking with and planning with throughout the process? So
Mm.
you are receiving a dedicated planner and you have an understanding, am I getting Brianne throughout this process? Or maybe she has a fabulous associate that I align with more. And you've worked with some of our wonderful associates,
Mhm.
Michelle,
Right.
Erica, you've recently met Grace on our team.
Mhm.
Everyone comes with different strengths. And what's really important as a bride or a groom is to really find out, who am I planning with during all of those hours, all of those meetings leading up to the day, not just on the day of. Who is going to help me make the decisions throughout the process and really give me that time, because it's a very there's many hours that are dedicated to this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that chemistry is important because you're trusting, the most important day of your life with one other person that's gonna be looking out for you, and really kind of being your
Exactly.
friend. You had mentioned it earlier, and I think people are confused a lot of times by full service versus monthly service, or month, and then like this day of, which a lot of people don't really go by what a day of is. They don't just show up and go, okay, you're the bride, you're the groom. Okay, what are we doing here? So maybe you can talk about what those different services are and what's included.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you bring this piece of the puzzle up, because that is also going to really determine the scope of your relationship, is when you make that determination as a couple, do we really, what do we need? Couples come to us at many different points of the process. Sometimes couples get engaged, they call us right away. We love that because then we're able to guide them, saying, how much time can you dedicate to your planning process? How much experience and how much energy do you want to dedicate towards reviewing professionals, to vetting your vendors, and to making sure that you're making the right decisions? Do you need help in the negotiating process? And so once you as a couple determine how much involvement you want in your wedding, that will allow you to say, once you get engaged, all right, we can handle X amount, but we know we need a planner to jump in at this point in the planning process. So if I'm a couple, if I have my partner, but we'll just consider the giraffe right here, we have, embarked on this amazing journey. We've decided to get engaged. What do we do next? We need to determine how many guests realistically would we like to have at our wedding? That's the first question.
Mhm.
When do we want to get married? What is our budget? So, really determining where you stand given those, and we can go on, of course, those are
Yeah.
just three of the top starting points. And then you can ask yourself, oh my goodness, I don't know if I could plan on my own. I know I'm going to need a professional to help guide me, even with those initial questions and everything else, all those details that come after. Oh, we've made a determination on the style of venue that we want, the style of wedding. We need help finding a photographer, a videographer, a band, or a DJ. We need help with the design process. And so you start to incrementally decide where you want to have a planner get involved with your decision making. But first and foremost, really understanding as a couple, realistically, how many people do we want to join us to celebrate? Because that's going to help answer a lot of questions. And given the nature of everything happening in our world, what what do we want to embark on? So
Mm,
as you can see, there's several layers. There's several layers that even before you start reaching out to call planners and interview them, really hone in on what your vision is as a couple, what your bottom line is as it pertains to guest count, expectations with budget is very important. When you're reaching out to a planner and you're making those interviews with planning companies, you really have to make that determination with where you want the wedding planner to fall within the process. Do you need the expert from the beginning, at the beginning, through
mhm.
the end? Or do you want to accomplish planning on your own, deciding your major must haves, your venue, locking in a photographer? As we know, 2021 and 2022 are really gearing up to be very busy. And so, if you know who you want to start working with, or you've always dreamed of having a wedding at the Waldorf, let's say,
Mhm.
knowing that you want to lock in certain things, or what your must haves are. Sometimes couples come to us and say, we've already booked these vendors. We want you to take care of the rest. That's where we start to really segment and we start to guide our clients. And even the folks who call us with questions who don't know exactly what they want, they may have already started booking things and have details secure. So we're then able to say, all right, it sounds like you have your venue and your date. You already know that you're expecting X amount of guests. If you need help with the design process and all the other details, we can jump in and put together a custom planning experience for you. So couples come to us and they say, we are really at this crossroads making decisions. We need help weighing contracts. We need help negotiating prices or balancing our budget. I always compare our budgeting process kind of like an investment consultant would consider asset allocation. And so if clients need help with budgeting, I strongly suggest that's like kind of a light going off. Hey, I think we need a professional to help guide us because this is our budget. And now we need to figure out how we're going to correctly allocate
Yeah.
all of the other details that go into the mix because we don't want our clients or any couple out there to put all of their eggs into one basket so other things may start to fall short. We don't want that. We want this to be a beautiful melange of, different
Mhm.
details that tell our couple's story.
That's perfect. And there is much more, as you just heard, much more that to wedding planning than just the fun elements of it. There's a lot of strategic um, things that you have to look at, and you want somebody with a variety of experience from doing a variety of different types of weddings that really are going to see, and like Brianne said about investments. Because if you invest, you do this on your own maybe, and you hire let's say a bad photographer, but he's quote unquote cheaper, and then you look at your photographs and they're terrible, they missed important moments. Did you really quote unquote save money? So maybe investing a little bit more in certain places, key places for your wedding, are going to be really worth it. Because if you spend all your money on Etsy's and invitations and fancy appetizers and all this kinds of things that don't really matter, you're going to come away with a wedding that's not exactly what you're looking for. So, and I think
Exactly.
it's helpful, for you guys, once you first get engaged, is to sit down with the two of you before you start looking at all kinds of venues and vendors and stuff like that. Figure out kind of the vibe and the feel that you want to have for your wedding. And then when you sit down with Brianne, I mean, she can really help find some venues that fit into that feel and some bands that kind of have that type of vibe for you. And maybe you could talk a little bit about, is there such a thing as an actual day of planner? And what exactly does that mean in terms of what kind of couple would qualify for a quote unquote day of planner?
So I love that you bring up this topic of day of planner. In my business at Marquette, our team, we always share that we offer month of planning, which includes day of planning. And all of our planning packages, destination, full planning, partial custom planning,
Mhm.
some month of planning, all of those packages include day of. Point being is this, we do get a lot of requests to do day of, and we always gladly share that all of our planning, no matter what, will begin at least 6 weeks before your wedding, which we consider to be month of
Right.
planning, which includes day of. So you never ever want to simply hire someone who shows up the day of your wedding. I say that very methodically. And if there's one thing that you can take away from this conversation, and we know and we understand and we appreciate couples who have all different types of budgets, always invest in a month of planner who is also your day of planner, no matter what. And if you can, invest in full planning or a partial custom planning experience because you've already gotten started. Well, bravo to you for getting started, but know that a planner can add a lot of value to your entire experience. And so they can really pick up where you've maybe left off and can add so much understanding and exciting details to really take your vision and accelerate it and make it grand and really tap into all the tricks of the trade to really maximize on every level of your budget allocation so your details are shining from point A to Z.
Absolutely. I think that is super, super important. And with even if you have a perfect schedule and everything is just all set and ready to go, and you're looking fabulous, the couple's looking fabulous, and the guests are all set, there's going to be things that invariably happen. Some bigger, some minor, but unexpected things happened, and it really takes somebody who has got a lot of experience, somebody that is really looking out for those types of things, to adjust to okay, how are we going to solve this in a creative kind of way. So maybe you could
Yes.
share a story or two, Brianne, about some things that have come up where you've been like, okay guys, nobody panic, let's solve this without the bride and groom ever knowing about it.
Yes. Well, I immediately backtrack to a wedding that we did for a wonderful client. This couple was the kindest, most genuine. We love all of our clients for all the different reasons, and we give them so much love. And they really, it's being invited in to someone's wedding. We will go above and beyond no matter what the situation calls for. In this circumstance with this couple, it was a beautiful autumn wedding at the Drake. And our clients had a gorgeous wedding ceremony just across the street from the Drake over at Fourth
Mhm.
Presbyterian Church.
Sure.
And there's that gorgeous courtyard,
Mhm.
and the couple was taking family photos. And our bride, she was in the moment. Her veil is, blowing perfectly and flowing perfectly in the wind. And, she stepped to the side to allow for family members to get into the photo. And her veil snagged across a few rocks that were in the garden in the courtyard. And her veil, her gorgeous veil, it had this just gaping tear. And my team and I, we come armed with sewing kits, a variety of other little,
Mhm.
notches and tools. And, we are ready to take on anything. This was about 20, 15 to 20 minutes before her ceremony was about to begin. And we were able to tuck her away because, of course, guests were arriving. The way that the courtyard is set up, it was away from guest arrivals. So we were able to truly tuck our bride, our groom, their wedding party, the family away. But we had a very short amount of time to stitch together her veil before she walked down the aisle. And there I was with Diana, and she and I were just stitching. And then there was also Aga and Juan Jose, who were also there. And they were, they had extra pins and tools and things like that. Everyone was just putting together this gorgeous veil, sewing it back together. And this veil, you could not tell that it had this gaping tear. And so, little things like that where, our bride didn't even flinch. Our bride knew that she was in such great hands. I sew, my team can sew. Of course, the other professionals like hairstylist Juan Jose, makeup artist Aga, you have a team that surrounds you
Right.
who really cares about you and wants the best for you. There is no obstacle that we can't smooth over. We continue on with peace
Mhm.
and precision, and we ensure that
Yeah.
you wouldn't even know what just happened a moment before. And no one knew the entire wedding. And we've done so many different, I call it MacGyver, like, we're the MacGyver
Sure.
of your wedding. um, and we've done so many, stitching operations on gowns, on menswear pieces. We give just as much as, love to our grooms,
Mhm.
if they need some stitching and sewing. And I've I've reworked so many boutonnieres that have come undone because our groomsmen are dancing so hard on the dance floor. And or mom's corsage, something happens there because she's hugging, and showing love to the guests that have come and to celebrate. So we're ready. We're armed and ready to go. And we move fast with, serenity and precision always.
Yeah, I think that that type of attitude of being resourceful and doing whatever it takes. I mean, I think every wedding professional in a variety of different settings has had to be like, okay, how are we going to figure this out? And it's not stuff you can
Exactly.
actually like prepare for. I mean, we had a couple that the bride and groom had a 3-year-old daughter, and she was at a table crying her eyes out. And I said, Farrah, what's wrong? She says, I didn't get a ring today. So it was pouring rain, but I ran 4 blocks to Walgreens and I got her a ring pop.
You're the
And
best.
she was so excited and like, oh my God, and there's just like, here's the situation. And like, what do we get? What can I possibly do to help? And that's when you find out, and certainly the situation going on that has gone on and continues to go on in terms of the COVID virus. It has
Yes.
been a very challenging time, of course, for all the vendors, all the venues, and moving dates around, as you and I have experienced with some folks, and the ability to have real professionals working. And that's when you find out like why this person maybe cost a little bit more, why I invested in somebody like Brianne and her team, because those are the people that are going to help you through all this stuff. And as opposed to, I had my best friend's uncle's daughter, handling a wedding because she had so much fun planning her wedding. That's when you find out, oh, that's why they're so much cheaper. So this really requires a lot of top professionals to do this, having the experience, having the know-how and the care and the expertise to navigate through situations like the virus or smaller situations that can come up actually at your wedding. And what it also does, it gives you so much more confidence when you walk into your wedding, knowing that you've got, the A team basically behind you, that are there to solve everything. And you get to be there with your new husband or wife and all your family and friends, and you let everybody else handle all the logistics. So you get so much more out of
Exactly.
it. So I think that's super, super important when you guys are choosing planners, vendors, venues, who's going to be there for you. It's not about, the ego of the vendors of the venue or the planner. It's about
Yeah,
everybody dropping those egos and being, what can we do to help? And that's what I think
exactly.
is
And
most
there's
important.
no ego in planning.
Yeah.
I was just interviewing a new associate, and she was so excited and really asking me a lot of questions about who I am as a person and as a wedding planner. And I told her, the age old statement, no job is too small or too large. And I think that's also the case as a business owner. I'm, people look at the world of planning and it looks fabulous and effortless. It should. But really, what's going on behind the scenes, I am schlepping, I am dragging, I am sewing, I am nailing things to the wall. I, we're working together as a team. I am managing to make sure that everything is truly being executed as promised, but then exceeding that vision and that expectation. Another story about the professionalism that goes into those moments where, oh no, what do we do now, kind of situations,
Mhm.
which they come up. Life happens, as we were just discussing. We were on site at a gorgeous multicultural wedding, a fusion wedding for a lovely client of mine. They were getting married at Nizuc Resort, in Cancun, Riviera Maya area,
Wow.
gorgeous resort. So we were setting up for their Indian wedding ceremony, and their priest was gathering the items. We were presenting them with items from the mother of the groom, who had brought many special details for the Indian ceremony. And we were making sure that everything was on the mandap that was needed for the rituals and the beautiful ceremony that was
Mhm.
about to begin. And so the mother of the groom, such a lovely woman, looks at me and says, I think I misplaced the Mangal Sutra. And to many people, and to even many people in our industry, they may not know what that is. And so this is a very special piece and component to an Indian celebration, an Indian wedding ceremony. And this was something that I said, aha, I will go find it because I know exactly what this is. I have your room key. I have, I know where everything is placed to prepare for this beautiful ceremony, and I'm going to find it. And lo and behold, I found the bag that had this beautiful Mangal Sutra necklace. And this was a very important piece to this ceremony for our clients. And so my point is there are layers and deep details, rituals, objects that are comprised when you're working with your clients of many different cultures. And I just encourage our clients, couples out there to work with planners who truly do have experience. And there's a difference.
Absolutely. And I'm sure by your ability to do that, they would have paid thousands and thousands of dollars to do, I mean, to have that done was, I mean, this is a hopefully a once in a lifetime experience. And knowing that you've got somebody on your side who understands your culture is so
Exactly.
crucial and so powerful. I
And
think that's,
David, I
yes,
dive back into
yeah,
who I grew up being on Marquette, surrounded by cultures, knowing that there's these intricate details. And it kind of, brings me back, but it propels me forward because I truly do love working with couples of all cultures, all backgrounds, all religions. And I just have so much fun with it.
yeah. And you can tell, you can really tell your enthusiasm, and people feel that too, that you are there on their behalf. So tell us one last thing, some important things that really you want people to know about MAE and your website and how they can get a hold of you, and what, really makes you, such a different type of wedding planning company.
Of course. So, some things to know about me and MAE, we are truly moving forward 2021, 2022, and beyond. We're so excited because no matter what the situation calls for, we can help you bring your wedding vision to life, even during difficult times, even during super complex times where you're not only dreaming up and putting into motion all of the details for your dream wedding or event, we're also helping you navigate through all the rules, regulations, safety protocols that are essential during this time. And we've had the opportunity to plan several weddings and events during the most complex of times. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And so, even during complex challenges, we can take a situation, break it down, truly understand what details need to be implemented
Mhm.
in order to achieve something that's elegant, timeless, gorgeous, and safe throughout any environment that your wedding might be in, given a date in the calendar. And we can help you make those difficult decisions so that you can truly be in the right place and say, all right, we are moving forward with our wedding or event. We know that there are regulations out there that are affecting our guest size, but we know that we can move forward in a safe but beautiful way so that the experience is still something that's unforgettable. We are rolling out so many hybrid experiences for our clients,
Mhm.
and they're super cool. They're really awesome. And we are here to say, if you do want to wait for those larger celebrations, we're on board for that. We understand, what a big celebration looks and feels like. And if you do want to push things off, we're right there with you. But if you want to move forward, we can give you all of the tools, resources, enforcement, and fun. We're still having so much fun in the planning process, David.
Mhm.
We have clients moving forward in a variety of ways. And for each Everyone has a different path, but we're here to say, all right, this is what can be done. Here is where, the buck stops, but we're able to deliver communication so that they're informed and they're empowered. Our clients are empowered by having a professional that is their advocate. So, just as I was saying, moving forward, we're excited because, the creativity and the innovation that has come forth is something that could be a great fit for a potential couple out there. And they don't know it yet because they might not be aware of the the scope of what can be done during complex times.
That's
So
wonderful. And what's the best way to get a hold of you?
the best way to get in touch with me and our team
Mhm.
is reaching out through our website, which is, it's a long one. We're going to shorten it, I promise you one day, but our website is the best place to reach us because there's a contact form
Okay.
right there. And it's marquetteavenueevents.com. And our Instagram is also a really great place to find us because we're always keeping our point on the pulse for Instagram, because we do know that a lot of couples search for details on Instagram. We're right there with you,
Mhm.
and it's at Marquette Avenue Events. And so you could find us there. You could find us on our website. You could find us on Pinterest. You could find us on Twitter by just a simple Google, a simple search button for my name, Brianne Garatano,
Mhm.
or Marquette Avenue. It should pop up. Everything should be generating,
Okay, great.
and it's very easy to find us there. It's very easy to find us through periodicals such as Modern Luxury Weddings, Party Slate. You'll find us there. You'll
Mhm.
find us on The Knot and Wedding Wire. Um, and we just want you to know that our virtual door is honestly open. We're excited for you, and we're ready to plan with you, no matter where you find yourself in this process.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for being on the on our interview today, Brianne. It's wonderful to hear about the evolution of your company and some of the things that you've done for other clients and why wedding planning is so important, and also learning about the difference between full planning, multi-planning, day of, and everything like that. It's been a wonderful experience. If any of you do need live music for any of your fabulous weddings, we'd love to help you with that. And you can go to our website, which is drsmusic.com. And we've been lucky enough to work with Brianne on a wide variety of different types of weddings. And I can tell you firsthand that her and her team do an amazing job. And that will be a very, very smart investment for all of you to make, in terms of having a planner that is not only super knowledgeable, super experienced, but also a really caring person that really truly wants the very best for you as a couple and all your guests. So highly recommend that you guys head over to their website, Marquette Avenue Events, and learn more about how she can help you. Thanks so much. I wish you all the best for your wedding. And we'll hopefully see you all again soon for some other wonderful interviews. And stay together. And also always, no matter what, stay authentic. Thank you so much. And thanks to Brianne. And we'll see all of you at hopefully a big celebration coming up soon. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Thank you.